How would you grade the coaching staff for the week one performance against Western Michigan? I'm going to tell you what I think. You let me know if you agree or disagree.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers, your team every single day. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. This is the Locked On Podcast Network. Appreciate the heck out of every single one of you, wherever you're listening, wherever you're tuning in from, work, car, mowing the lawn, hanging out with the fam, whatever it is. Thank you. Thank you so much. Today's episode brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Zero sugar in a convenient portable size. It's the perfect pick-me-up for getting stuff done. Go to 5hourenergy.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid till September 30th. On one order, cannot be used with other promotions. Go to 5hourenergy.com today. All right, let's talk grades. Let's talk about it. How we're going to get right into it. We're going to do every position, the coaches. We're going to do this after every game. Coaches, D. Again, please let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. I think it's a D. That's what I'm going with. And it's partially because of the expectations for this program and for this team and for this coaching staff. Like Luke Fickell, ultimately, if you're going to come in, you're going to replace a guy, and this part's not Luke Fickell's fault, obviously, but if you're going to replace a guy that won at the clip Paul Chris did, and I think the move was warranted, but you're going to come in with expectations, and this wasn't a clean enough performance. It wasn't a good enough performance. The team, quite frankly, it looked like Western Michigan played harder. It looks like they wanted it more. They had a few more wrinkles that they threw out there. I think it's a D. I think it's a D because it felt like offensively, there were some post-game comments. Tyler Van Dyke said they were in a lot of cover three. It was hard to take deep shots. I mean, effectively, that's another way of saying Western Michigan schemed us out of being able to take deep shots. Like you got to, it's on the coaching staff to find a different way to push the ball down the field. You can't just say, well, Western Michigan is in a certain look. We don't like it. We're just going to dink and dunk. That doesn't feel acceptable out of Wisconsin. I thought the fake field goal by Western Michigan, schematically, there was either something they saw that they recognized that they could do, or a schematically something we didn't catch on. And by the way, like it felt like that was an obvious situation to play very safe. They had just missed a previous field goal. This was a really long kick in a drive that they needed. Like all the markers there are careful. This could be a fake. Like let's play this one really safe. And it still looked like we got kind of flat-footed there, got caught flat-footed a little bit. So I thought you lost a bit of a schematic battle there. I thought there were a couple moments before the halftime when we were driving where it felt like we were really going very slowly. The pace was a little weird for a 2-minute situation. I thought you burned a couple timeouts in the second half that I didn't love in a very close game to get either a call right or to review something. Like timeouts are gold, right? That is a precious resource, man. In the second half to take a couple of them. What if Western Michigan had gone back and tied it up and then you needed those timeouts? It felt a little casual on some of those. There was a play second and goal with Western Michigan driving. We had 12 men on the field. I just felt like there were a couple inexcusable things. And quite frankly, it didn't look like we were as prepared as we needed to be to start week one. It wasn't a good enough performance. This was a team that was down 14-13 at one point in the third quarter to a MAC school that was 4-8 last year. A MAC school that has 2 new coordinators that's still going to be working on things. I don't think it's a terrible MAC school. Like Western Michigan is traditionally a really good MAC school. Let's be very clear on that. They're usually one of the better schools in the MAC. But this still should have been a little cleaner performance, I thought. And I thought offensively, we just got into a bit of a weird box and we weren't able to find our way out. And then we just kind of resorted to we're going to lean on them and slowly move the ball down the field, which I don't think is going to work against the better teams. So I think it's a D. And I think this coaching staff is capable of way more than that. Like this does not mean that's reflective of my thoughts on this coaching staff. It's almost more because I think so highly of this staff that I'm really disappointed in this week one performance. But I think for this game, I have a hard time going anything above D plus. Like I don't even think it was an average performance by this coaching staff. Quarterback, gosh, this is going to sound harsh. D plus. I'm sorry, man, but like again, this is partially reflective of what I think Tyler Van Dyke can do in this offense and how good he potentially could be. But I don't even know how you would call this like an average performance given expectations and given the quality of competition. Like there were, if you just look at the box score, you say, okay. Um, but then you got to realize he threw 2 passes that probably should have been picked. And if those are in the box score, what grade are you giving them? If Western Michigan, the one was in the guy's hands, he had to dive a little bit, but most DBs make that play. If he just makes that play, what grade would you give Tyler Van Dyke after he didn't push the ball down to the field, lost a fumble, and had a pick? And there was a chance for another pick. So pushing the ball down the field is not all on Tyler Van Dyke. It's on the coaches, it's on the receivers, it's on the pass blocking. But there's got to be some moments as a quarterback where you do try to push the ball down the field, and then ball security is paramount. Like you can't lose a fumble scrambling as a play's breaking down. You got to understand those things as a fifth-year senior. You have to protect the football. That lost fumble could have potentially been one of the key turning points if you were to lose this game. And then again, I think from a ball placement standpoint, Van Dyke had a couple that you just can't throw. You can't scramble down the right sideline and kind of just huck one back in bounds that gets tipped up. That's a pick a lot of times. You can't do that. So I don't think it was good enough. And then the 5.3 yards per attempt. So now some of that is not, it's on the coaches, which I just talked about. Some of that is not on Tyler Van Dyke, but 5.3 yards per attempt. If you looked at that last year, that's second worst in the Big Ten. That mark would be second worst in the Big Ten. It's below what Mordecai had. And Mordecai was lambasted for not taking shots down the field, right? The only person in the Big Ten worse than 5.3 yards per attempt last year was Deacon Hill, Badger fans. Like, put that into context. So I thought in general, the coaching staff and Tyler Van Dyke, maybe I'm way too critical here, but again, it's partially because I have very high expectations for this program. And I do give both of these, so I give the coaching staff credit for they found a way like to scheme things up towards the end, 4th down stop. We won the game, right? So absolutely credit there. And I give Tyler Van Dyke a lot of credit as well with his legs. I thought he moved well. I thought early on he was pretty good. That rushing touchdown towards the end was nice. I thought there was some interesting RPO stuff that he showed, and he was pretty good in those moments. But I think as the game went on, he got a little dicey. So D and D plus on those two for me. Let me know if you disagree. And I don't think those are going to be, again, like, I don't think those are going to be the season-ending grades for those groups because I think they're too good. But in game one, week one, just looking at that 60 minutes of football, that's where I'm at. Running backs, B. I had a B for the running backs. I thought all 3 of them, if you include Yakimelli, ran hard. Ches Malusi, Pro Football Focus, Ches Malusi down for 4 broken tackles. Tyree Walker has down for 2. So between the 2 of them, they had 6 broken tackles. It felt like maybe even more than that. A couple touchdowns. We talked ball security with Tyler Van Dyke. The running backs were on point with that. No fumbles, protected the ball, just kind of grounded out. I thought there were moments they were hitting the backfield. Offensive line was okay in times. And I think at times Western Michigan just stacked the box and it made it difficult for the guys. So I think the running backs looked absolutely fine. No issues there. I thought they ran incredibly hard, broke tackles, held onto the ball. I would love seeing Ches Malusi back. I am a little bit of a Ches Malusi fanboy, if you want to call it that. Like, I really appreciate what he's been through and the journey that he's kind of gone through. So I inherently just root for him because I love the dude as just a leader in this locker room. And maybe that we all have biases, right? If someone says they have no bias, well, that's their bias. Like, their biases themselves. We all have biases. So I have a soft spot for Ches, but I thought he ran really well. Probably my offensive MVP for the game. But Tywee, I thought ran really hard as well. So I have running backs at a B, quarterback D plus, coaches D plus. Let me know what y'all think. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to get into the rest of the grades: offensive line, defense line, tight ends, receivers, special teams, which we got to talk about too. Boy, oh boy, that's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show over at Factor Meals. Factor Meals is incredible, right? Talk to you like my wife will ask me, hey, what do you want from the grocery store? And I'm like, I don't know, Chex, Pop-Tarts, bagels, and cream cheese. Oh, and can you get me some microwavable frozen eggs with cheese on it? And Triscuits too. Like, that's literally me. And Factor is here to help people like me, but everybody that's just a little too busy. They don't want to cook. They don't want to prep. They want to be a little healthier. Factor Meals is incredible. FactorMeals.com/LockedOnCollege50. You're going to use LockedOnCollege50 to get 50% off your first order. Factor Meals has over 35 different meals, so there's tons of variety, 60 different add-ons, so you constantly get what you want. You get to treat yourself to restaurant quality meals with premium ingredients. and you get to do it at a better price. Head over to factormeals.com/LockedOnCollege50. Get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. So it's an incredible deal. Use code LockedOnCollege50 at factormeals.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by our incredible friends over at eBay Motors. You want to keep your ride or die alive? We talked about it. Like, there's few friends in life like a good car, right? Like, your ride or die is there. Your ride or die is there when it's 1 a.m. and you got to go get some taquitos. Your ride or die, for me, is there when it's like 8:45 and I'm like, crap, I'm out of beer. I got to go down to the Cenex and get some spotted cow, get me some whatever I need. Like, my ride or die is always there, and I always expect it to work. It's time to do something for your ride or die. Go over to eBay Motors, whatever you need for your car. You need radio stuff. You need car mats. You need lights, interior lights, headlights. You need stuff for your brakes, spark plugs, whatever it is. You can get it all at eBay Motors. They give you the right parts, the right fit, the right prices, an enormous inventory at the best deals, and you don't even need to put clothes on because you can do it all from home. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Exclusions apply. Eligible items only. eBay Guaranteed Fit over at eBay Motors. Keep your ride or die alive. All right, let's keep going with the grades here. And as always, in the comments, let me know. Let me know your grades. Very curious on that one. We did this last year. We'll do this after every game this year. Let's go tight ends. Tight ends, I got a B. Listen, I don't think they were asked to do a lot, but I thought it was encouraging to see Nowakowski get a lot of reps. They did a lot of 12 personnel. The broadcast team was talking about it. 12 personnel is the one running back, 2 tight ends. So I think they felt good from the run blocking standpoint of having Nowakowski and Ashcraft out there together. Ashcraft is a pretty good run blocker. I think pass blocking at times, he doesn't quite get set, and he lets some people get into him, and then because of that, he gets rocked back a little bit. But I think in run blocking, he just drives well. He's really good size. I think they're both pretty accomplished there. Nowakowski, obviously, with the fullback background. And then they had 4 catches for 44 yards between them. Like, if you combine those into the tight end position and say, you're going to average 4 catches for 40 yards over the course of the year, which is going to, I mean, yeah, you would take that every time with the expectations of this room coming into the season. No drops. I thought they were solid, super solid. And that's what you want from them. You want solid. Right? Like, there's some positions on this team because of the depth, because of the talent, where you're saying those positions need to be exemplary, right? We have to get great play out of our DBs this year, out of our linebackers, because those are spots with a ton of resources invested into them, with a lot of young talent, with a lot of veteran talent. Those spots have to be great if Wisconsin's going to be great, right? There's other spots where you look at it and you say, this position's still a little young. It's not that the players aren't there or the pieces aren't there. Like, I happen to really like Ashcraft. I happen to really like some of the young pieces. But tight end's probably a year or 2 away from being a really, really good positional unit. But this year, can they be solid? I thought they were solid week 1. Good hands, and that's what you're going to want out of them, right? You're going to want catching passes on third down. You're going to want catching passes in the flat. You're going to want being able, like on one of those, Ashcraft on the left side, caught the ball and got upended, took a pretty good hit, held onto the ball. Can you be physical at the point of attack when you're getting hit, when you're catching the ball? Yeah, tight ends B. I thought they were solid, really solid. Let's go offense. No, let's go receivers next. That's what I got next in line. Receivers, I got to see. I think. Yeah, listen, like, this is one of those spots where you need your stars to play really well. I thought Pauling was a little off early. A couple drop passes. They had him down for. I think Pro Football Focus has him down for 1. I kind of feel like he had 2 that he probably should have caught, and there was another one where I don't think it's on him. He got hit a little before the ball even got there. He ended up with 6 catches, 60 yards. He was targeted 11 times, though, right? So for a guy of Will Pauling's caliber, you probably want a few more catches if you're targeted 11 times. It felt like there was some miscommunication as well, which I'm going to put equally on everybody, right? I don't pin that all on receivers. I also don't pin that all on Tyler Van Dyke. But it felt like there were moments, and I put some of that's on coaches too. I felt like there were moments where Van Dyke was seeing one thing, Pauling or another receiver was seeing something else. And all of that contributes into not being able to push the ball down the field. If you're a coach and you're seeing some miscommunication, maybe a couple drop passes, you're more reticent to push the ball down the field for sure, because it doesn't feel like it's clicking. So I think the receivers absolutely bear some of the blame here and not being able to get the ball down the field. I think there's still separation issues. We've talked about that a little bit on the boundary. And then a couple drops, right? We talked Pauling, but CJ Williams on the right side on kind of an out or a kind of a comeback route. Not the easiest catch in the world, but you got to catch that pass if you're CJ Williams, especially if you're coming off a year last year that was a little disappointing probably for yourself and for fans and for expectations. You get that opportunity, you got to catch it, right? I thought that was a pretty good ball from Van Dyke. So a couple drops, a couple miscommunication issues. But on the good side, man, when you see Stretch and you see Pauling get the ball and then turn it north south, oh man, that is like hitting the turbo button. I thought the Pauling looks even quicker than last year, and then Tretch is everything as advertised. Had 3 catches. I would say you got to target him more. Like you got to get him the ball. He's unique explosive. He's unique athleticism. He's unique quickness, and you got to get him the ball more. But I thought they both looked the part when they got the ball in their hands. So I think that was a plus. Bryson Green had a couple nice catches. I think he looks the part. You'd like to see Vinny Anthony get a little more involved, but again, that's part of that deep route, right? That's part of you got to almost push the ball down the field a little bit more to really take advantage of what he does. Chris Brooks got a couple snaps, didn't see a ton there. He was more in the red zone that I saw, so that makes sense to me, right? You get that physical presence out there in the red zone, but I think it's a C. Got to catch the ball a little bit better. Got to clean up the miscommunication. We got to hit some passes down the field, but you also see the flashes that can elevate this room, right? You see Tretch and you see Will Pauling, and those flashes are so there. Badger fans, like if they can get, they got to get those guys the ball more, especially Tretch. And if you start doing that, I'm telling you, this offense can unlock things because they are dangerous, and Tretch is dangerous. And we've been saying it. I mean, if you've been following this show for a while, we were saying that when he was committed out of high school, we were saying that when he decommitted to Arizona, we were saying that when he recommitted, we were saying that all last year, we were saying it after LSU, we're saying it again. You got to get that dude the ball. He's dynamic, he's unique. Receivers, I'm going to give him a C. Offensive line, I also went C. I think it was okay. I really there were moments. Western Michigan just had a lot of people in the box. I think they made it a little difficult at times. I thought the line held up pretty well, although there were some pass protection issues. And then I do think there were times where I would expect to get a little more push against the Western Michigan team that, quite frankly, I don't think the strength of their team is that front seven. And maybe not. Like, it's super important to understand that this is week 1, and we don't really know crap about crap. But I don't think at the end of the year you're going to look back and say, "Wow, Western Michigan had a really formidable front seven." I don't think that's it. I think we're pretty comfortable saying that's not the thing. So I was hoping the offense line would be more physical. I was hoping that they would control the line of scrimmage a little bit more, and that a lot of our 4 and 5 yard runs would look more like 8 and 9 yard runs. That didn't happen, but Wisconsin still maintained multiple like 14, 15 play drives. That doesn't happen if the offensive line isn't winning their fair share. It just doesn't. So I'm going to call it a C. It was awesome to see Renfro out there. It was awesome to see clean, crisp snaps. How many times did we talk about that last year? Brunner had a couple nice plays. I think it was fine. I'm hoping it gets better. Hopefully next week it's a little more dominating at the point of attack. But I also think some of what Western Michigan was doing defensively, putting extra people in there, run blitzing a lot. Listen, Western Michigan had 1 sack, but they had 5 tackles for loss. The 5 tackles for loss for me are indicative of a Western Michigan team that is really stacking the box. It's aggressively run blitzing. I felt like they had a feel for what Phil Longo wanted to do, and they were trying to counter it. And to some degree, I think they countered it pretty well, given their lack of ability up front. So I'm going to say C offensive line. I'm hoping to see a little bit more physicality next week, but I also think we got to pass a little bit more down the field to open some of that up and make it a little easier on the 5 offensive linemen. All right, we'll take one more quick break there. We're going to come back with defensive linemen, linebackers, cornerback, secondary, special teams. A really packed show, but I always appreciate y'all. One quick break for our friends of the show over at 5 Hour Energy. I teased them at the top. 5 Hour Energy is legit needed for me at times because, man, today I'm framing out this office, and it turns out I don't really know how to frame. I'm still working on that one, but 5 Hour Energy, those kind of things are incredibly important for me to be able to like just get stuff done. And not all the time, but after lunch, after dinner, if I just got to bang some stuff out, hit that 5 Hour Energy. It's small, it's sugar-free, it's easy. Got great flavors. Again, the watermelon's been my jam. Like I got kind of the 6-pack, 12-pack of watermelon. That's kind of been my go-to. But you can pick whatever you want. They have great flavors. Head over to 5hourenergy.com. Use our code LOCKED on CFB, and you're going to receive 20% off your order. So you can build your 12-pack, you can build your 24-pack, try all the different flavors over at 5hourenergy.com. The offer is only valid till September 30th, so do that now, knock it out. You can't use it with other promotions, and it's not good on subscription orders, but anything else is good to go. Get your energy for cheaper over at 5hourenergy.com. Use code LOCKEDONCFB to receive 20% off your order. All right, let's get back and finish off our grades here. And as always, in the comment section, let me know. Let me know if you disagree. you think I'm way too hard on some of these spots or too high on some of these spots, absolutely let me know. As you know how we do it, man. We get the community comments and thoughts into the show. Defensive line, I went C minus. It's again, some of this is reflective of what my expectations were. Like I thought the defense line would have some struggles against. I thought this was a decent week one test against a MAC school that brought back 4 of the 5 offensive linemen, has a really good center, a really good guard. Their 5th offensive lineman's a Notre Dame transfer, and by the way, their running back's legit. The guy ran for 1,000 yards last year. He was as advertised. He's kind of a bruiser. He gets north and south pretty quick. Yeah, so I expected there to be some issues, and that's kind of what we saw. But again, it's kind of in line with expectations. And then I do think they got a little more stout as the game went on. There was the big time clutch 4th and 1 stop, which Aaron Witt gets all the credit for that coming off the edge, but the defensive line stacked it up in the middle to give Witt that chance. So I thought they got better as it went on. Big shout out to transfer Elijah Hills for the 1 sack of the game. That's got to get better. The pass rush has got to get better. But Hills looked great in that pass rushing situation. I think he's probably a guy you look at and say, let's get him more reps. He's a guy that early on in spring, a lot of people thought, and even early in fall, it seemed like, I don't know how much this guy's going to play, but as fall went on, he started making more and more plays, and he gives you a little bit of burst on the inside. So I think he's in line to get more reps. I think it's a C minus, somewhere in that range. I thought they did fine. Western Michigan's 2 running backs did combine to average 4.09 yards per carry, though. And like that is a little worrisome when you look at what Alabama did today. Alabama averaged like 9 yards per carry today against Western Kentucky. And yeah, it's Western Kentucky, but Alabama's going to run the ball. And this is worrisome if you're a Badger fan. But I'm going to go C minus on defense line because I think it got better. I love the sack from Hills. And that 4th and 1 stop was clutch. Linebackers, I have a B. I thought James Thomas played really well. From a run defense standpoint, I thought he showed everything that you were kind of looking for. One of the best players that we saw on defense, graded out that way. Pro Football Focus really liked what he did as well. He shows you a lot of what he did at Arkansas, right? The ability to almost from sideline to sideline track down running plays and kind of blow that stuff up. Pius had a really nice one off the backside. Aaron Witt came up big on a 4th and 1. I thought Chaney showed some flashes. It was good. Allegro, by the way, needs to play more. I loved what we saw from Christian Allegro. That dude is just a missile. I think they need to find more reps for him. So I think it's a B. The pass rush at times, especially from the outside, needs a little work. And it wasn't quite good enough today. I'll have to go back and rewatch some of that. But I think linebackers in general played really well. Not a lot of missed tackles. I'm going to go a B on the linebackers. Cornerbacks, A minus. Listen, ultimately, at the end of the day, Western Michigan's longest pass play of the day was 23 yards, right? Then you had the Xavier Lucas pick. Very few missed tackles from the cornerback spot. I thought they were as advertised, right? There was not a lot of space, especially deeper for Western Michigan. Hayden Wolf, the Western Michigan quarterback, he was able to find some stuff scrambling. Like I thought he actually on a couple plays rolled out, made some really nice plays on the run. He had another one where he stepped up in the pocket, avoided a Jake Chaney sack, was able to find kind of a dagger route. Those were nice plays by him, and it's hard to cover for 4 or 5 seconds when the quarterback's moving around. In general, I didn't think Western Michigan was able to consistently get any separation with their receivers. They hit no deep shots. There were very few missed tackles from the corners. I thought the coverage was really good. Now, I don't have access to all 22. I wish I did. But from what I was able to see and what we were able to see Western Michigan do and not be able to do, I think the coverage was there. A minus on that. Safeties, I'm going B plus. Just the one missed tackle. Austin Brown had a bad missed tackle on the flat on the right side. It's got to wrap up there. But aside from that, Hunter Wohler led the team in tackles. What else is new? 7 tackles for him. I also had a really nice pass breakup. I thought they were solid, which is what you need that group to be. I'm going to go A minus on that one. So on defense, again, let me know what your thoughts are. I got defensive line at a C minus, linebackers at a B, cornerbacks at an A minus, and safeties at a B plus. I think the defensive back group was really good. Very few missed tackles. They cleaned a lot of that up. Good coverage. Nothing deep for Western Michigan. They did a lot of their damage underneath or through the run game early on. And then they had the fake field goal where they were able to pick up another 20, 30 yards. So I think the secondary played really well. And I'm going to give it an A minus on the corners and a B plus on the safeties. Special teams, D minus, F. I'm not going to go an F. D minus. Why can't we got to get better here? And it has been so many years. We've talked, it's been at least 2 or 3 years on the show. We've said, man, remember when we had really great special teams units? Like, this is going to cost us a game if it continues on. Let's just go down the list. Let's start with kick returns. I love the idea of getting Tretch the ball in his hands. I don't know if he should be the kick returner right now. If he's gonna, you can't take the first one. He took the ball out, got blown up. You probably just don't take the ball out there unless you know you can. I don't know. Let me push back. I'm gonna internally push back at myself. I actually don't hate Tretch taking the ball up because he's so dynamic, and if he might get stopped at the 15 3 times, then he might bust one for 40. So I'm gonna retract that. Actually, I don't hate that. I think you need a little better kick return blocking, and Tretch maybe just needs the reps. Now that I think about it, I'm kind of okay. Almost like Aaron Cruikshank. I'm almost okay with Tretch just taking it out. And if it means he gets stuck 2 or 3 times, I'm willing to bet on that 4th or 5th time, he might break like a 40 or 50 yarder. So I'm actually kind of okay with that one. I know other people didn't like it, but on the ensuing one, he fumbled it. And that, I mean, listen, ultimately, I don't care if you bring it out, but you can't fumble the ball. We were able to get it back, but that could have been a disaster. That was in the moment of the game where it was tight, second half. If we had fumbled and they had gotten a quick score, who knows what happens? That can be a game ender. Yeah, got to hold on to the ball. You have the missed defensive assignment on the Western Michigan fake field goal. That's a special teams gaff. You had the missed early field goal from Bakos, Vakos. Sorry, Bakos. I think it's Bakos. It's mixed up in my head now, but those are 3 huge gaffes. The fumble on the kick return, the fake field goal for Western Michigan that they successfully converted, and then the missed field goal. You can't win against really good teams on the schedule with Wisconsin's margin of error if you get consistently poor special teams play. I don't know what else to say about it. I will point out Wisconsin did get a turnover off of special teams, but that was kind of just a lucky, stupid thing. Like, it wasn't, in other words, it wasn't a really great schemed up Wisconsin play. Like, it bounced off of Western Michigan's guys back, and then we recovered it. I will absolutely give credit. You have to hustle. You have to be in the right spot. Austin Brown, I think, was the guy that recovered it. He was there. He was running on the field, but you're running on the field on power coverage anyway. Like, I'm almost not going to give extra points because you were hustling on that. Everybody should be hustling on that. Special teams D-. It wasn't good enough. I will point out there were no kickoffs out of bounds, which is good. That was an issue last year. Hopefully that's cleaned up. But you got to be able to bang field goals. You can't let teams out execute you on fake field goal situations. You can't fumble on kickoff returns. Yeah, D-. Overall, the overall grade is maybe like a C for me, because you won by 2 scores, and you move on in advance, and it ultimately there's teams that lose week 1. I mean, you give credit where credit is due. They found a way at the end to pull ahead. Tyler Van Dyke with the legs. I thought the running backs ran hard. Tretch showed a lot of flashes. I think the defense got better as the day went on. I know this. I'm very confident in this coaching staff. I think there's a better game plan there, because otherwise I don't know why you would go get Tyler Van Dyke if this is the game plan. So, but on this one, I think C minus for it, because the expectations are what they are, and Wisconsin is who we are and who they are, and who they are is not a team that should be in week 1 struggling with a MAC school. Like, you don't go out and get a Luke Fickell to struggle with a MAC school. So I would say C minus. I think more better. It's not properly. I think more good is on the way. Better is on the way. That's what I would say. But I'm an optimistic guy, and I can't wait to see what adjustments are made going into week 2 on Wisconsin. Thank you so much for tuning in. When you're done here, go check out for your second listen of the day, Locked On College Football, 24/7 stream that's got you covered with all the biggest news in the college football world. Go check that out next. Thank you all for tuning in to Locked On Badgers. Appreciate the heck out of you on Wisconsin, and we will talk tomorrow.